And just like that, Chisom became a prayer warrior. Every night, she turned into fire and thunder. Father, every spiritual husband standing in my way of meeting my life partner, die by fire, die by fire. Let Holy Ghost scatter you at night vigil. Any evil spirit monitoring my love life, go back to the sender. If you ever grew up in a Nigerian household where one child always gets the bigger piece of meat, then you understand why Chineye's story was quiet, sad, and a little sharp around the edges. She was the first daughter, the elder sister, the dependable one, the one that could cook soup with only crayfish and confidence. But her younger sister, Chisom, she was the star, fair-skinned, soft-spoken, and born with the natural fine girl energy people like to praise. Visitors would come and say, Kai, this your last daughter is too fine. Her eyelashes are like broomsticks from heaven. Then they would glance at Chineye and smile politely. And this one, she is neat. They didn't mean to hurt her, but the children can hear tone. They can feel when love is loud in one direction and quiet in theirs. So while Chiso was called God's gift, Chineye was learning to be useful. She knew how to pick stones from brains like a professional. She would kill a chicken with one strike, and if the gas finished, she was the one lighting the coal pot outside, even in the rain. She was a child who got things done, but never got the applause. And that's where her story began. Not in tragedy, but in that small ache of always being second best in her own house. Chisom, she moved through life like someone who didn't know pain. She was soft, shielded, always protected. Even when she spilled water or broke a plate, Mama Ebele would say, "It's okay, leave her, she's just a baby." Meanwhile, Chineye broke one glass cup in 2009 and was reminded of it for the next 6 years. But she didn't argue. She didn't even complain. She just held it in, folded her feelings like wrapper, and wrapped them deep inside her chest. Until one day, when everything changed. Years has passed. Chineye had turned 24 and life had taught her that quiet women and helpful daughters are often rewarded with more work, not applause. She was no longer a child. She was no longer hoping anyone would clap for her, just surviving softly. That morning, she grabbed the broom and started sweeping their compound. It was her usual routine. When an SUV pulled up, black, polished, too loud for the kind of road it entered, it stopped gently in front of their house, the engine humming like money with confidence. At first, Chineye didn't look up. She thought it was one of those men looking for one prophet inside the street. But then the glass came down slowly, and out came a voice. "Excuse me, good morning. Please, I'm looking for someone called Mr. Ejiofor." Chineye paused, leaned on her broom and wiped her forehead with the back of her hand. "You mean Mr. Ejiofor, the land agent?" "Yes, that's him," the man said, smiling now. "Okay, you park well, then walk just behind this compound. His house is the newly painted bungalow on the left." "Ah, thank you very much." He paused again. "Just one heartbeat too long." "Sorry, what's your name?" Chineye looked at him properly for the first time. Dark shades, clean kaftan, neat beard, the kind of man that wore confidence like perfume. "Chineye," she said simply. "Nice, I'm Chibueze." She gave a polite nod. "All right, sir, have a good day." Then she turned back to her broom and her sweeping. Chibueze sat in the car for a moment longer than necessary, not because she was the most beautiful girl he'd ever seen, but somehow something in Chineye's demeanor impressed him. That same evening, he came back, this time with a pack of soda drinks. "For your mama," he said casually, "to thank you for the direction." And before Chineye could even ask how he remembered her house, he smiled again and nodded. And also to thank Chineye. And that was how it started. At first, it was just soda drinks, the kind packed in nylon, sweating from cold, handed over with a smile and one sentence, "For your mama," and also to thank Chineye. She didn't think much of it at the time. After all, people greet people with food. It's not a marriage proposal. But when Chibueze came back again the following week with fresh plantains and a nylon bag filled with stockfish, Chineye's heart started keeping quiet records. He came again. He remembered my name. He looked happy to see me. It was subtle. He didn't flirt, he didn't pressure her, he just showed up with kindness and consistency. And in a world where people only noticed her when something needed to be done, Chibueze noticed her for nothing. That was new. That was intriguing. By the third visit, Mamebele had adjusted. She cleaned the living room twice and even started saying, "Ah, Chibueze have come again. Oh, let me call my daughter Chineye for you." And each time he saw her, he would nod like he wasn't expecting to be happy to see her. But somehow, he always was. Eventually, the visit started to stretch. One time, he stayed almost all day talking and laughing with Chine. And soon, their conversations grew. They talked about life, about her dreams, about how she used to want to become an accountant but didn't go to school because, well, life happened. He never made her feel small for it. Instead, he would say, "The way you carry yourself, someone would think you have 2 degrees already." And for the first time in her life, she started to believe it might be true. Not long after, he proposed. That day, he had sat in their parlour, eyes focused, voice firm, and said, "Chine, I don't want to keep coming to visit. I want to take you home with me." That moment was one of Chine's life's happiest moments. She just sat there blinking, wondering if the universe was finally trying to clap for her. Not long after, the wedding came. It was loud, legendary, and laced with luxury. The entire village shut down as merriment, music, and dance filled the street for 3 days straight. Chibueze didn't just marry Chineye, he announced her like a headline. Even people who once ignored her clapped and shouted like they had been rooting for her all along. And as she stepped into Chibueze's car, bride price paid, ring shining, face glowing, something shifted deep inside her. So this is what it feels like to be seen. It felt really good. The first time Chiso walked into her sister's house, it didn't feel like home. It felt like visiting royalty. Tiles shone like mirrors, curtains thick enough to silence gossip. Everywhere Chisom turned, the house whispered, "Respect yourself, you're in a different world now." And she did. She hadn't come for vacation. Chine had just given birth to a baby boy, and between sleepless nights and Chibueze's constant traveling for business, she needed help. Mama Bele had called Chisom aside one Saturday afternoon and said, "Go and help your sister. It's just for a small time. You know, family is family, and she needs our help now." And so, with one small bag and a heart full of loyalty, Chisom moved into Chineye's house. At first, everything was sweet. She woke up early, swept the compound, sterilized the baby's feeding bottles, carried the baby when Chineye needed some sleep, and even sometimes in the midnight. When Chineye was tired, she rubbed her back with hot towel and some aboniki balm. When visitors came, she served them with malt and a smiling face. She didn't see herself as a housemaid. She was family, helping out with love and not labor. At least that's what she believed. Chineye was too generous. She bought her new shoes, gave her a room to herself, paid for her to ride jump again. "You're my sister," she would say. "As long as I'm here, you're not suffering." Chisom would hug her and say, "Ah, thank you so much, Sister Ne." And deep in her heart, she meant it. But what Chisom didn't realize was, in every kingdom, every love had levels. And while Chineye loved her truly, she also loved the feeling of being the one giving, of being the one whose name opened doors, of being the sister who was now needed. And though it was silent at first, a small crack had already started forming in the beautiful house. That crack called power. But cracks don't show themselves immediately. They wait, they grow, and by the time you notice them, sometimes it's already too late. By the time Chisom got into the university, the baby was working and Chineye had expanded the family business. She had 2 shops now, a POS stand, and a small office where files gathered dust when no one was watching. It felt like progress. It looked like peace. But something has shifted quietly because now Chisom wasn't just the helper or my younger sister. She was becoming something. She dressed better, spoke with more confidence. Even the staff in the shop called her Auntie Chi with that extra note of respect. And Chineye noticed it. She noticed how Chibueze would nod with approval when Chisom handled transactions quickly. She noticed how customers said things like, "That your sister is very sharp, very smart girl." And each time it was said, something inside Chineye twitched slightly, just slightly. Not anger, but a quiet, growing fear. I brought her here. Now she's trying to outshine me. When Chisom graduated and got a job offer from an insurance company, she came home beaming. She dropped the letter on the table like someone offering gold. They said I can start by next month, Auntie Newa. I'll finally be earning money. Chineye looked at the letter, smiled, then calmly folded it and said, you want to go and start small work outside when your brother-in-law's company is right here? Chisom hesitated. I just thought it would be a good experience. Experience? Experience you didn't pay rent for, or the one I gave you when I took you in? Her tone was soft but sharp. Chisom went quiet, and just like that, she turned down the offer. She stayed and started working as Chineye's personal assistant, handling paperwork, customer calls, marketing and deliveries. She was excellent at it. So good that Chibueze started saying, let's hand her to Port Harcourt to secure that deal. She has the confidence and she's so good with clients. Even some clients started calling her directly. Chineye's sister, that girl knows her job abeg. But for all her hard work, her salary stayed small. Whenever she brought it up gently, Chineye would sigh and say, business has been slow now. You know how things are. We're even struggling to pay staff. But the next week, she'll fix her nails for 25K and buy fabric for a wedding she wasn't even attending. This happened for years, and even though Chisom was content, the house was big enough, the food always had food. She could buy her own things, at least the body cream, and even send small money to Mama Ebele from time to time. And so it felt like progress. But there were cracks Chisom did not see, cracks she didn't see coming. The fact that she didn't know that there were some houses where growth wasn't always celebrated. Chisom didn't see it coming. At first, it was just strange. Most of Chibueze's business partners would look at her in a weird way, especially after they had talked, connected, or even laughed. The first time it happened, she thought maybe she talked too much that day. The second time, she blamed her fashion sense. I didn't dress well that day. Then when it happened again, she began to suspect it was spiritual. Maybe I have a spiritual husband somewhere, she whispered one night. The type that chases suitors away the moment they try to love me. One day she finally broke. She sat on the edge of the bed, tears in her eyes, and told her sister, Aunty Nenwa, I don't know what's wrong with me. Oh. Every time one of these men comes close, especially the rich ones, will connect, will flow. And then the next thing they will look at me like I'm smelling. I don't know again. No. Chineye looked at her and said calmly, maybe you need to pray. Oh. It could be a spiritual husband warning them. You never can tell. And just like that, Chisom became a prayer warrior. Every night, she turned into fire and thunder. Father, every spiritual husband standing in my way of meeting my life partner, die by fire, die by fire. Let Holy Ghost scatter you at night vigil. Any evil spirit monitoring my love life, go back to the sender. But the more she prayed, the more the issues continued persisting. One day, during small talk at church, a guy casually mentioned that someone said Chisom had serious anger issues. Another time, a woman hinted her that she had mental problems. Every time she tried to trace the source, the trail went cold. Nobody would give her a name, just I heard from someone who knows someone that knows you. Every night she would lie in bed staring at the ceiling fan, her heart pounding. Who is doing this thing? Who is saying all these things about me and why? What did I do to the person? Until one day, Chineye was rushing through work that afternoon. There was a contract document to fill and she was full of work and swamped. Chi, please come on, come and help me. Help me check that client's address on my WhatsApp. Use my phone. Chisom nodded, took the phone and started scrolling through business chats. Then a message popped up. It was David, one of Chibueze's business partners, the same David she has been talking to for months. Sweet conversations, long calls, deep connection. The same David who, like the others, suddenly also went cold. He had sent a message that morning to Chineye saying, I can't help myself. I'm in love with your sister Chiso. I don't even mind if she's a kleptomaniac. We'll figure it out together. Kleptomaniac? The word sat on the screen like a slap. Chisom froze. Her fingers stopped mid-scroll. She opened the chat thread. And there they were, the full betrayal, messages, replies, voice notes from her own sister. She had issues, I won't lie. We've been managing her quietly. She used to steal things in my house, even when we were younger. Sometimes she's not emotionally stable, but she's a sweet girl. Oh. You're a good man. Just be careful. I'm only telling you this because I care about you. Chiso's chest tightened. All these months, all these years, all this time, this was what had been happening behind her back. She stood still, phone in hand. Just then, Chineye walked in. She saw the screen. She saw Chisom's face. And without blinking, she snapped, "What are you doing with my phone?" Chisom didn't answer. She just stared at her. Then slowly she looked up, voice shaking, not from fear, but from devastation. "Aunty Nenyenwa, you told David I'm a thief?" There was silence. "You told him I am emotionally unstable?" There was still silence. "Nenye, why? Why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to your only sister? And all the while I've been thinking it's a spiritual problem." Chineye exhaled and folded her arms. What came out wasn't apology. It was pride. "And so what?" Chisom blinked. "What do you mean, and so what?" Chineye stepped forward, her voice calm but cold enough to make the room shiver. "You think I don't notice how they look at you? Everywhere you go, Chisom is so this, Chisom is so sharp, Chisom is so beautiful. Even my husband says it, that your sister gets sense so. Do you think I don't hear it?" She laughed bitterly. "All my life, I was the shadow. Now that I finally have the light, you want to come and shine me?" She scoffed. "Never." Chisom gasped. "What? You eat my food, you sleep in my house, you wear the clothes I bought for you, and now you want to come and collect my life too? That can never happen now." Chisom looked at her, and in that moment, she didn't see her sister. She saw a woman drowning in jealousy, hiding behind power, and clutching onto status like oxygen. "I can't believe you say this," she whispered. "You? My sister, my only sister, my blood." Tears ran down her face. "After everything, after staying with you all these years, I'm giving you my all." Chineye shook her head. Then Chisom said, "I get it now. I get it. I will be living. I'm living your light. I'm living your life." She turned around. "Come back here," Chineye shouted, but Chisom didn't stop. She went into her room, picked a few clothes, folded her documents, and walked to the door. Chineye screamed after her, "You want to go? Oh yeah, go now. Go! But don't come back here. Oh. Don't come back begging, because I will never accept you back in this house." Chisom didn't pause. She didn't look back. She just walked out. The day Chisom left, she didn't know where she was going. She just knew she couldn't stay there any longer. Her bag wasn't full, just a few clothes, her certificates, and the pieces of herself she refused to leave behind. That night, she slept on a throw pillow at her friend Adeze's place. It was a small, cramped house, but it was enough. The very next week, Adeze helped her find a job as a secretary in a small private organization. The office wasn't fancy, just clean ties, humming AC, and the smell of paper and lemon air freshener. When the managing director walked in, he noticed her immediately. Not because she was loud, but because she carried a quiet kind of grace, the kind life had tried and failed to crush. He interviewed her himself, simple questions, no stress. And in the end, he smiled and said, "You're different, I like that. You can start on Monday." And just like that, Chisom stepped into her new life. For the first time in months, she breathed fully. Maybe my story isn't ending in tears after all. The MD liked her so much. He often called her for small talks about the business, sometimes about life. He said she reminded him of his younger daughter, strong but soft inside. One Friday afternoon, he smiled and said, "I have someone I want you to meet." Chisom blinked. "Sir, who is that?" It was his son. His name was Chidi, a calm, soft-spoken and deeply intelligent man. Tall, neatly bearded, gentle eyes that seemed to carry stories. He had lived and studied in the UK all his life, but his father, traditional in heart, had always insisted he must marry from Nigeria. And not just anyone, he used to say, a woman with values, with grace, with presence. When Chisom joined the company, the managing director had seen something in her, something familiar, something rare. And when Chidi flew into Nigeria for a business trip, he didn't waste time. He continually disturbed him. Have lunch with her, he said. Just lunch. And the first meeting was quiet. It was held at a small corner at a five-star restaurant. There was no false charm and no pretense. But when Chidi looked at her that day, he saw something he hadn't seen in years. Soft strength, peace, and eyes that didn't pretend to be anyone else. For Chisom, she hadn't planned to fall again. She was still learning to trust peace when it came without pain. But Chidi was patient. Lunch became more lunches, calls, conversations, and soon comfort. He didn't rush her healing. He just stood beside it like someone waiting for a garden to bloom on his own. In less than 2 years, they got engaged and started marriage plans. When Chinenye heard of their wedding, she didn't celebrate. She didn't even pretend. She scoffed so loudly over the phone that Mama Ebele had to pause mid-sentence. This girl's desperation will not let her rest. Every small attention, she will call it love. Now, see, she had gone to fall for a man from abroad. Please, someone should tell Chisom to shine her eyes. Those abroad men will say they love you, but before you know it, they'll dump you like sackcloth and go abroad to enjoy their best life, while you remain here to suffer proper shege. She hissed and added, nobody should come crying to me, when the jazz clears. Mama Ebele shook her head. So you still haven't changed, Chinenye? Chinenye's voice was sharp, wounded. I've seen things, Mama. This one, she's rushing. She will soon understand what I'm saying. But Chidi didn't just love Chisom. He chose her. He made her feel safe, seen and whole. And after their wedding, Chisom relocated with him abroad. Meanwhile, a few months after Chisom left Chinenye's house, the house felt different. It felt quiet, maybe even peaceful. Chinenye convinced herself it was better that way. Let her go. She was starting to overstep anyway. But the silence didn't stay silent for long. Chinenye couldn't keep up. The files were piling, clients' records were disorganized, meetings were forgotten. Mistakes were small at first, then it started becoming obvious. Even clients noticed. That your sister, doesn't she work here again? No, she doesn't, Chinenye would always answer smiling. But her hands were shaking. At home, Chibueze noticed too. His house was no longer organized. Most times he went to work late, either because his clothes were not ironed on time or breakfast was yet to be served. This affected Chibueze's mood and he began keeping his distance. One night, Chinenye finally asked him, is there a problem? He replied without looking at her, bring your sister back or find a competent hand to manage this house. Chinenye laughed. You too? So it's not enough that Mama always preferred her. Now you want to drag me back into her shadow? One evening, it was exactly 2 months after Chisom had left, and even though her mother had heard about what happened, she wasn't happy that her daughters were not in good terms, and so she came visiting Chinenye. She just sat in their parlor with wrapper tied tightly around her chest and said, Chinenye, I understand you were sabotaging your sister. How could you do that? You have always been the peaceful one. I thought you were the mature one. Please call her and apologize to her and bring her back. Chinenye folded her arms. Mama, you have always loved her more. I know. From day one. Now that everything is shaking, is call Chisom, apologize to Chisom. Mama, I won't. Let her stay where she is. Let me stay where I am. And so, she stayed. As the months passed, things grew worse. At first, it was little contracts from here and there, clients' complaints, and soon, they began losing huge contracts. Clients stopped responding. Their main suppliers cut ties as they couldn't meet up with payments. Chinenye tried hiring new people, but it didn't work. They came with qualifications, but no loyalty, no sharp instincts, no Chisom. Chibueze became distraught. My business is failing. Chineye, do something. I put the subsidiary in your hands, Chineye. But Chineye tried. Until one time she hired a young lady named Anita. Anita was good, just like Chiso. That Chibueze even began praising her. Chineye became jealous. She started accusing him of smiling too much, flirting with her, and even sleeping with her. The more insecure she became, the more distant Chibueze grew. Until one day, he dropped the sentence like a stone. I want a divorce, Chineye. I can no longer live like this. Chineye laughed. You're joking, right? He didn't blink. There's nothing here anymore. You need control. I can't deal. I'm done. Chineye begged, but he refused. He packed his bags and left, leaving the subsidiary business with her. However, the business didn't succeed. Chineye couldn't tolerate anyone who outshone her. She would say, you think you know better than me? And before long, she would fire the person. It wasn't long before everything crashed. Her husband, angry that she had run down the business, sold their home, and Chineye, with no money and nowhere to go, ran back to the village. When she came home, she noticed the house had changed. The bungalow Chibueze had built for her mother had been renovated, and beside it stood a gigantic duplex that was almost completed. She found Mama seriously packing her bags, making purchases in large quantity, egusi, crayfish, and other foodstuff. Mama, this one you're packing like this, where are you going to? You didn't hear? Chiso wants me to come to be with her in the UK. She said her twins are not letting her concentrate and her job is overwhelming. Chisom has twins? Chineye asked Gas. Yes, so I'll be traveling in a week. I don't know, but you'd have to stay here alone until you figure yourself out. A week later, Mama left for the UK. Chineye was now home alone, but he wasn't home anymore. The house was quiet, her business was gone, her marriage, history. Not as the one who finally had the light, but as a woman starting over, alone and forgotten. And sometimes when she was bored, she would sit under the mango tree in her late father's compound and stare into nothing. The silence tormented her, reminded her of what she could have been, of the sister who only ever wanted to help her, of the light she lost, not because there was no fire, but because she wanted only hers to shine. Life moved on, but one truth remained. Whenever he builds a house, it cannot survive a storm. The end. What an unfortunate story. This story wasn't just about jealousy. It was about how pride can turn love into poison, and how the very people you shelter can become the wind beneath your wings. Chineye had everything except peace, yet she was always feeling insecure about Chiso. This story reminds us that love should never compete, no matter what. Someone's growth is not your threat, and you shouldn't be bothered about whether the person is shining his light more than yours. The sky is big enough for each and every one of us to fly in it. And if your light truly shines, then another person's glow should never dim yours. Because when you try to dim someone else's stars, you might end up losing your sky. Thank you so much for watching this story. I hope you enjoyed it. I would like to hear your thoughts on this one. What do you think about a sister like Chineye, who would go any length to dim her sister's light? Do you think she was justified to act the way she did? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because someone out there needs to hear this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.